Take a moment and picture what it might have been like to live in heaven during the rebellion. At first, it would have seemed the same as always. Your good buddy, your hero, your favorite musician stands there next to God every day with a big smile on his face. When he leads out in the singing, you almost burst with happiness just to hear him. Then one day he calls you aside. You're excited since this usually means a wonderful surprise for somebody. I've been thinking about a lot of things, he says, still smiling that dazzling smile, and I wanted your opinion. You're one of the wisest angels I know. You spread your wings, blushing at the compliment. Well, God gave me, you start to say, but Lucifer interrupts. Now don't be bashful. Embrace the wonderful being you are. Embrace your intelligence. Embrace your wisdom. Be true to who you really are. You're not quite sure what to say. Always before, you've given thanks to God for every good thing in your life. You haven't ever taken the glory or credit to yourself. An uncomfortable feeling creeps over you, the first time you've ever been uncomfortable in your whole life. What did you want to ask, you finally say. Lucifer gets a faraway look in his eyes. What do you think about the current system, he asks casually. System? Which one? Now you're really confused. You've been studying an unnamed solar system out past Andromeda. Maybe that's what he means. Our government. Your friend's gaze zooms in sharply on your face to catch your slightest reaction. The government currently run by the Lord. The question has never crossed your mind. Fine. You frown a little. It's really good. He leans in closer, lowers his voice just a little. Can you think of any ways it could be better? You swallow hard. This subject was never covered in angel school. On the one hand, you want desperately to be somewhere else, but on the other hand, your dear friend needs your advice. His whole face radiates sincerity. He really wants to hear from you. You do your best. Okay, I think maybe it would be better if, really, I can't think of anything I'd want to change. You shrug. Honestly, I've always been perfectly happy. Do you think anything would change if I was in charge? Lucifer put his hand confidingly on your shoulder. Don't you think I'd treat you fairly? But you're already in charge, you blurt out. You're in charge of all of us. Lucifer's eyes grow commanding. You find yourself wanting to do anything he might ask. I don't mean just in charge of you, he says softly. I think it would be better if I was in charge of everything. Suddenly you're faced with a choice, your friend or your God. You love them both, you respect them both, but only one of them can be right. What will you do? Every time an election year rolls around, the commercials start up. Morning, noon, and night, you cannot get away from them. You can divide them all into two main groups, the incumbents and the newcomers. The incumbents are running on their past history, their past record of serving the voters. For good or for bad, you can look at what they've done and decide if you want things to keep on going the same way or not. The newcomers aren't so easy to categorize. Even the very best of them are only running on promises. Promises that they may never be able to keep. It's very hard to judge someone by their promises. You have to see them in action before you know how well their system is going to work. It was just like that in heaven. Lucifer began a whisper campaign against the incumbent, promising everything that he thought might help him. He didn't always stick to the truth either. The father of lies had plenty to say about God, and I'm sure he played the angels against each other too. The sad thing is, many of his friends listened to him. At last it came to open war. Lucifer, now Satan, had brought his rebellion into the open, and heaven was being torn apart. There was no choice but to make him leave. Thousands of years later, Jesus would tell his disciples in Luke 10:18, I saw Satan fall from heaven like lightning. And in Revelation 12, verses 7-9, John tells us, and there was war in heaven, Michael and his angels warring against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels warred, but did not prevail. Nor was place found for them in heaven any more. And the great dragon was cast out, the old serpent called Devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Removed from his previous position and banned from his old home, Satan and the angels who followed him needed a new headquarters, and they needed one fast. But they couldn't just take it by force. By force, they'd have to win it first. They didn't have to tell the truth. They could trick, they could lie, and if they could win it, it was theirs.